Hi y'all, welcome back. This is Pi, and today we're going to be taking a look at problems 4 through 6 of the recent 2021 AMC 10A. A cart rolls down a hill, traveling 5 inches in the first second, accelerating so that during each successive 1 second time interval, it travels 7 inches more than during the previous 1 second interval. So we've got this cart rolling down a hill. And at first, it's going 5 inches per second. Then it's going 7 inches per second more. So it's accelerating every second. So it's going to go 5 plus 7 inches per second in the second. And then it's going to go 5 plus 7 plus another 7 inches per second in the third second. So 1, 2, 3. And it keeps doing this for 30 seconds. So I'm going to see what our final speed is going to be. Well, if I notice, I'm adding 7 every time, and I'm doing this 29 times, which is 30 minus 1, because I'm not doing it initially. So I'm going to have 5 plus 29 times 7 inches per second, and that's going to be my speed. So essentially, I can write this as a series. Let me just write down. I'm going to write this as a sum. So I've got 5 times 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 2 times 7 plus 5 plus 3 times 7. And now if we know how arithmetic sequences work, I can just say that to find the sum of an arithmetic series, you take the average of the first term and the last term, and then you divide it by 2, first plus last, divided by 2, times the number of terms there are. So I know there's going to be 30 terms. My first term is 5. My last term is this stuff over here, and I'm dividing that by 2. So let's calculate that. And I'm going to start with calculating what this 30th term is. It's going to be 5 times 29 times 7. Well, 20 times 7 is 140, plus 9 times 7 is 63. So my sum is going to be 208. Not my sum, my 30th second speed. So my first term is 5. My last term is 208. Let me divide that by 2, and I'm going to multiply all that by 30 because that's the number of terms there are. And canceling this into 15, I'm going to get 213 times 15. I'll spare you all the arithmetic. You end up getting 3195. And even without calculating all of it, you can already eliminate some options by seeing that 3 times 5 is going to give you a units digit of 5. All right, so your answer is option D. Hi all. Our next problem is going to be problem 5 from the 2021 10A. The quiz scores of a class with K is greater than 12 students have a mean of 8. So remember, the mean is going to be the sum of the scores divided by the number of the scores. The mean of a collection of 12 of these quiz scores is 14. So when I collect 12, when my number is 12, I have a sum, and that's equal to 14. What is the mean of the remaining quiz scores in terms of K? Well, the total score in the class is going to be 8K. And I know this because when I set up my initial mean, I say that the initial sum, divided by K greater than 12 students. So here we go. K students has a mean of 8. So the initial sum is going to be 8K. So this is the total scores, all the student scores combined. And then on the 12 quizzes, I've got 12 times 14 equals 168 is the total score for the for the group of 12 students. And now the remaining quiz scores is going to be the first total minus the second total over the total number of students minus the group that we used in the second total. And hey, this aligns with option B, so that's our answer. All right, so this next problem is quite long, and I encourage you to read it on your own and pause the video. So I'm going to get right into it. We're going to use the formula D equals RT, or distance equals rate times time, but I'm going to modify it. I'm going to say time equals distance divided by rate, because here what I want to do is I want to find Jean and Chantal's time and then find their distance, because I know the distance to the tower is held constant, and then I want to use that to find the rate. So in the end, I'm going to be using R equals D divided by T. So let's get started, and let's say this is distance and this is time. This is going to be Chantal's distance, and this is going to be Jean's distance and time. So Chantal climbs, she walks over here, then she climbs up here, and then she comes back down. So she's, if I call this whole thing D, then she's gone 3/2 D. Meanwhile, in the same time, Jean has gone 1/2 D. All right, so if I say that it has taken Chantal T time, and obviously it's also taken Jean T time to cover that same distance, then let's try to express this in terms of D using quantities we know. So I'm going to break down Chantal's journey step by step. So I'm going to say that at first, Chantal walked 1/2 D. So she went over here at a rate of 4 miles per hour. So distance divided by rate equals time. And so it took her 1/8 D to cover that first segment. All right, her second rate was that she covered the next 1/2 D, this upward segment, at a rate of 2 miles per hour, because remember, she slowed down. So her time is going to be 1/4 D. That's her second time for that segment. And now, finally, her third time is going to be coming back down, which is 1/2 D divided by 3, because remember, she's speeding up again. And there we go, that's 1/6 D. So let's say that the total amount of time Chantal took, T, amounts to T1 plus T2 plus T3. I'll erase this to save some space, and let's say that Jean also took the same time, but covered less distance, right? So we can also say Jean's time was the same. So really now what I've got is that Jean's distance was 1/2 D, and Jean's time was 1/8 D plus 1/4 D plus 1/6 D, which I can then rewrite as 13/24 D. And now coming back to applying this formula over here, rate equals distance times time. I'm going to say that Jean's rate is going to be her distance, 1/2 D, over her time, 13/24 D, which is just going to be 1/2 times 24 over 13. Canceling those 2's gives us 12/13 miles per hour. And yes, that is option A.